welcome back, everyone, to your section, the members section. Thank you so much for supporting this platform. We take it very seriously, and we are as responsible as we can be to bring you information that we think you'll be interested in and that can help you unfold to your true nature. Now, this is Pamela Tartar, and you're listening to Factor 9 on Pure Momentum Network, and my special guest today is Michael Williams. And we're talking about two things with Michael today. One is Imagine Hypnotics, and that's the name of his, well, it's not a business, I guess, in a way, but in his offering to clients to help them unfold to who they are and make good choices about changing things they want to change. And we're also talking about Michael's album, his music album, and we heard a song in the first hour. We're going to hear a song in the second hour. And we're talking about that album a little bit, and it's Leaving Dystopia. And I'm going to have Mike say hello. Mike.
Hello, everybody.
And I would like for you to give out your web addresses for Imagine Hypnotics.
Okay, Imagine Hypnotics is imaginehypnotics.com. And
well, that's a good one.
There you go. And the CD, the album, is laboroflovemusic.com.
Wonderful. And you can get that album on Amazon.
You can.
That's great. Now, in the second hour, we're going to talk about past lives and life between lives, which is very exciting to me. And we're also going to listen to a song, Give Me Love, and I'm going to read the lyrics. Let's begin with past life regression, and tell us a little bit about how that works and what you do and what you can look forward to.
Well, a past life regression is spiritual regression, Pamela, and what it is reincarnation. It's a retrieval of memories and experiences that occurred in other lifetimes. And clients will come in, and there's a lot of curiosity these days. People are getting, I would say, more interested. Their interest is being piqued with regard to past lives. And so we have a session. The session runs about 2.5 hours. And I will take them into a past life, a previous life. And we take them back. I should say I facilitate it, but the teachers and guides essentially take them back to a life which will enable that client to better navigate their current life. Right. So
now that's important to me, Michael, because years ago, people were doing this kind of as a fun thing. And right. I was even invited to past lives parties,
right.
wanting me to do this as, kind of like just a fun thing. And of course, I refused to do that. There needs to be a purpose in everything. And the purpose here is, you stated it, it's to find out how it can help you right now.
That's exactly right. That's right. Yeah, I've had potential clients call me, and clients call me, Pamela, when they're first trying to get an understanding about what the past life session is like and so on. And some will say, look, oh, yeah, I had a past life session a couple of years ago. And the first question I'll ask them is, how long was the session?
Right.
And they'll say, oh, it was, 45 minutes. No, that's not a past life session in 45 minutes. No. So, or they sometimes think that it's a past life reading. And I explain to them that I'm not doing a reading. This is you going into trance, going back into that past life and experiencing your own past life. It's not me telling you anything. Right. It's you telling yourself.
And a lot of times it's not safe when you have someone tell you, because right. then that plants that inside of you when you experience it the way you're telling it and how you work. It's you're experiencing it. Nobody's telling you this.
Exactly. So there's a couple of things with readings that are a problem in my view. And I apologize to any of my colleagues out there that probably
do reading.
upset with me right now who do readings. But the two things that I see that are issues with, I see as issues with readings is, number one is when you get a reading, the person doing the reading may be getting a scene within that life, and that scene could be taken out of context. In other words, right. It just happens to be a moment in time in that life, and all the other points or stopovers in that life, well, those are not discussed, explained, or seen, and so you can't be able to to put a storyline together. So in other words, you could be told something, maybe it was a scene where you got hurt. Does that mean the entire life was a hurtful life? No, it just means that that particular scene, you got hurt in that scene. So, but that's the biggest issue that I see, when folks go in for a reading, and I don't do readings.
Right. I understand that, and neither do I. And when I do work with this, I do take people, and I think it's very important that people know the difference and they understand that they are experiencing this. You're leading them.
Right.
You're trained to lead and direct and facilitate, but they're having the experience. And that's the difference between having a reading and working the way you work. And I do appreciate that.
It's very powerful when they have the experience because they're experiencing the emotions, the sense of knowing. It's just a very, very powerful session. And clients, when they come out of the session, are amazed at what it is they just experienced.
And the thing that's different from the reading is that they don't have to trust anybody. They experience this.
Yes.
So that's why it's so life-changing and so emotional and whatnot. It's because it's not someone saying, oh, I see this or I see you did that. No, They experience it. The client experiences it. There is nothing like experience in anything.
No, it's very, very powerful. Very powerful.
Amazing. Okay. Are there any stories that you would like to tell us about past life without giving any names or giving away any confidences or anything, but how learning about a past life has helped a person in this life?
Well, I can tell you. Well, let me just start from this perspective first, and I'll go right into a story.
Right.
Sometimes I get asked, why do people come in for a past life session? And I'll ask my clients that, why are you coming in for the session? And just to get an understanding. And many will say, well, I want to understand what my life purpose is. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing in this life? Am I on the right path? What are my lessons in this life? Some clients will come in with struggles and challenges. They'll just come in and say, well, my life is difficult. Relationships are not working. I'm connected to the wrong people. I have low energy. I feel like I'm drifting and wandering. I've had folks come in and say, I don't feel like I belong here.
Right.
And others will just say, just curiosity. I just want to have the experience, which is fine also,
Right.
But I'll go through some of the more interesting types of sessions, and they would be off-world, other planets.
Right.
And there is a misconception out there, I think, by some that they believe that all of our incarnations, if you believe in reincarnation, are here on Earth. That's not true. It's simply not true. And I had a client that had come in. It was very interesting, and she had never had hypnosis before. And she went back to a planet, and she was describing the planet to me, and she was saying it was very wooded. It was very tropical looking. And then I was asking her where she was, and she was saying, well, where I'm at right now, it's dark and I'm trying to, get acclimated. And she got acclimated. And in that life, she had incarnated as a being that we would describe probably as bird-like. But it was not birds like we have on the planet here. She was probably around 4 feet, 4.5 feet tall, and a very intelligent being. Right. Yeah. And on this planet that she incarnated on, it was all about serenity. It was all about just being with nature, being one with nature. And she was describing to me, what it was like to be in the water, just to explore. That was a key component of her session, was exploration, discovering. Right. Uninhibited by all the stuff that we have here, all the nonsense. It's just, if your curiosity piqued you, then it took you someplace and you just went there.
I love the word serenity because very few of us get to experience that.
Yeah.
And I was visualizing that while you were saying it, and it's just so wonderful. And I am aware of a planet with bird people. I call them bird people because their consciousness is very developed and very upfront. It's not, like a lot of our consciousness is not awake and is kind of behind. Right now we're trying to become more conscious on this planet, but I could feel that as you were telling it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I tell folks that this is the best job in the world. It really is. Every time I book a past life session, I actually get very excited because I'm going to be facilitating, and no session is exactly alike. Just amazing stuff. And essentially, what I'm finding now that's happening more and more is that the traditional past life session, we have it's kind of a format that if you use Michael Newton or Brian Weiss as an example that they go through, I'm finding more and more people now are actually venturing into the spirit world. I mean, they'll go into a past life, but then what happens is they then spend a lot of time when they're in the spirit world. And we'll get into that with Life Between Lives. The only reason why I bring that up is because it's kind of a shift that I'm seeing that's taking place where things that were considered to be, traditional approaches, even with this type of work, are shifting and changing, that the consciousness is expanding, and even when the clients get into that chair, the sky is the limit. They're exploring.
Yeah.
I just figured I'd point that out.
What I know, that is the energy. Our energy has shifted on this planet, and people think nothing happened December 2012, but it did happen.
It did happen, yeah.
It absolutely did happen, and there's so much more unseen than is seen by our physical senses. And you get to work with that. And no wonder it's exciting. I would be excited as well. And I do get excited about this work. And a lot of times people take the word spirit and think it's religious. And it's not religious.
No.
It has to do with wholeness. It has to do with that part of us that is always and will always be. We don't die. That word death is incorrect. It isn't right. We move from one state of being to another state of being. And I know that for a fact. I've been there and I've come back. And I have the ability to see in these other dimensions. And I know they're real. And it doesn't make anything less difficult here where I am in 3D. But it is real, and it must be absolutely fabulous for you to know that you're introducing people to that part of their lives and that part of who and what they are.
Well, I find that the spiritual sessions, past lives, Life Between Lives, I even do the chakra balancing for clients under hypnosis. The spiritual sessions are the most powerful, clearly the most powerful. And what I've actually done, Pamela, just to digress here a little bit, is even when I do my clinical sessions, I have brought in more spiritual work we call transpersonal, because it adds additional tools to the client's tool bag in order to help them to resolve conflict, to feel better. So in other words, if you just do clinical types of hypnosis, direct suggestion, that type of thing there, and you're not bringing in elements of expanded consciousness, like bringing in light, bringing in spirit, bringing in spiritual aspects to help with the healing, you're limiting the client's ability to get to feel better, to resolve conflict, and also, as a practitioner, you're limiting your ability to be successful.
Right.
So I kind of bring it in, and clients absolutely love it. So I teach hypnosis too. I'm an instructor, and I tell the students I bring it in. I do. I bring it in. I don't bring it in blatantly, but there's a very subtle way to bring it into the session, and to get that client to experience as much as they possibly can in that session to help them get better, feel better, and resolve conflict.
Wow, and reach their goals. They have more tools to reach their goals.
And I'm sorry, and the other thing about the past life, just to, if you bear with me for a second here, is that it's uncanny how consistent the process is. So when people talk about near-death experience and they talk about the tunnel and the light and loved ones and all that, I can tell you that the exact same type of process, very consistent, takes place. And, a lot of people like to chalk it up as, especially with NDEs, they'll say it's hallucinations, it's the brain losing air. But, with a hallucination, how could the consistency be there?
Well, not only that, Mike, how can I see what the person who's having the experience is experiencing. I literally
Right.
get to see that.
Yes.
And, I when my own father was passing, I looked up and I saw all these people and I described what they looked like. I didn't know who they were.
Right.
And he would say, "Oh, that's so and so." And oh, and there was a wolf there. And I had never heard the story about this wolf. And this wolf became his companion from a child all the way up to an adult. And that wolf was standing there. So anybody that tells you that when you pass over that your animals aren't there, they do not know what they're talking about. I've seen it. I know. And what was so amazing about this is these were people and these were beings that I did not know anything about. And yet I saw them and could say, this is what this one looks like. And that's what that one looks like. And I knew it was a wolf. I knew it wasn't a dog. So this is all real. This isn't something that somebody's making up. This is very real.
No, it's very real. And I've actually had my own experience where my pet, my animals have been there with me up in the spirit world. Yeah. So it's tough for some people to get their heads wrapped around this because of the, all of the indoctrination and the belief systems that are embedded in institutionalized religion. But, if you have one of these sessions, I'm going to tell you that there's going to be some major shifts
in your thinking. Right. Absolutely. And I got the sense when you were, I've got all my little feelers out while you're talking, and I got the sense of when people actually experience a past life, how exhilarating it is, because that doesn't come with a belief. That comes with the knowledge. You just experienced it. You just saw it. You don't have to trust anybody. You don't have to read a book about it. You just lived it. You saw it yet again. And inside yourself, And one thing that is so beautiful is that our creators put a survival mechanism in every atom of our being. And so there's nothing that's going to come in there that's going to harm us or hurt us ever, because it isn't coming from the outside, it's coming from inside us. And that's one thing that I like about your work.
Well, that's a good point, because some folks will say to me, well, I don't know, what it is I'm going to experience. What if I go back to, when something evil happened? And, I got to tell you, Pamela, I do a lot of these, and I've done a lot of them. And every one of these sessions, without exception, has been enlightening to the client. Enlightening. Right. And the other thing I wanted to cover, because sometimes folks will want to debate me. I don't debate anyone anymore. Essentially, if they don't believe it, I tell them, if you don't believe, you don't believe. But I'll tell you what, I will do a free session for you.
Oh.
And
we all know how to get a free session out of Mike now.
I probably should have said that, but no. When I have some of these discussions with folks and they want to debate me, and I'll tell them, just come on in, come in with an open mind. We'll do the session, and then after you have the session, then let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it.
Right.
So, but one of the things I wanted to cover is that the memories that come through are not constructed. Some people will say, well, how do you know they're not making it up? Well, it's like if I say to somebody, all right, here you go. You're in Italy and it's 1475. Go. And they're like, well, go where? What do you mean go? Well, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your family. What are you wearing? What do your shoes look like? Describe the buildings. Describe the transportation around you. Tell me how you're feeling and so on. What's the relationship like with your kids, with your wife? They couldn't tell you that. They couldn't construct that. It would take an awful long time for somebody to pull something like that together, and probably would just throw their hands up after a while. But when you're in a past life regression and you're deep in trance, you're in that theta state, the memories are very fluid, spontaneous, lucid, experiencing the emotions. You have the feelings, you have that sense of knowing. What I explain to my clients is, Pamela knows who she is in this life. She has a sense of knowing of who she is. Mike has it, David has it. It's the same thing in that past life. When you go back to that past life, you know who you are. It's an amazing thing, And so the way it typically works is the client will come into an opening scene, and then there's around 5 to 6 to 7 relevant or significant events or stopping points along that lifetime. So they'll come in at the opening scene, then they'll move to the second significant event, and the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and so on. And the interesting thing is, it's all being stitched together. It's all a storyline. And then they go through the death scene and they pass. And then when they pass, the soul leaves the body and heads home. And then when they head home, they meet with their guide, and then they do a life review.
Wow.
But the most fascinating piece of this is how it all is stitched together and there's a storyline. And before I bring them into the past life, I back them up into their current life. So we'll do a stopover maybe when they're in their teen years, and then I'll take them into their earliest childhood memory. A lot of clients will go to like 4, 5, or 6 years old, and then I take them into the womb. And once they're in the womb, I will ask them, what is this life about? What's the purpose of this life? Why are you coming this time? And they will tell me. And then we'll spend the next hour and a half, 90 minutes in the past life. And then when they're back with their guide and they're talking about what that past life was about and what their current life lessons are, it's never fails. When they're with their guide, the lessons in their current life point back to what they told me back in the womb.
And doesn't that give you information that we are absolutely alive at that point, that the lies about abortion is just that? We are very alive in the womb. I talk to children in the womb all the time.
Let me tell you, when I do the womb sessions, the baby is very aware, very, very aware of what's going on. They are very aware of their mother's emotional state, whether the father is there or not, and the father's emotional state. Very aware.
Yes.
When the mother has fear, I cannot tell you, Pamela, how many times they're in the womb. The soul will say, well, I'm in the womb and I can feel mother's fear.
Mm-hmm.
Feel it. I should say I can feel mother's fear.
Yeah.
And, well, what's mother concerned about? Oh, well, father abuses her, or she's very concerned about being pregnant. Her
Right.
mother and father don't know, so on. It's just a myriad of reasons. But the point being, and you're absolutely right, in the womb, there is enormous awareness.
Absolutely.
Enormous.
Absolutely. And I have taken people who have had experiences where they really are mad at their parents because they were in an accident and all of this sort of thing. And you can go back and take a person back to that point in the womb, and they can see and experience that mother's fear. It
Yes.
was not an easy thing 50 years ago to be pregnant out of wedlock.
Right.
I mean, it was trauma. It was really bad. And one girl who constantly hates her parents because she was born out of wedlock and out of love. You know, they were not in love with each other, her parents. But I said, she didn't kill you. That's one thing that says, you know, she allowed you to live, because a lot of people, the fear was so great and the trauma was so great that they would be talked into having an abortion, even
Right.
way back then when it was very, very dangerous. But I'm glad you shared that, because that's a really important point. If it was just a blob of flesh, you could not go back and experience that time. And I have done it. I have experienced my time in the womb. As a matter of fact, my spirit teachers taught me about at conception. I went back to my own conception and the meeting that happened. I was the eldest, but my 3 brothers that were to come later were there at that meeting. And we all had a meeting, and we agreed to help one another with our life purpose. So it's all very real, and it's just amazing to hear you talk about it, because I'm aware of it, and I just love the work you do, and I want other people to experience it as well.
It's fantastic work. And not because, folks, because I do it. It's just amazing, amazing work, because, you know, it's every time I have a session, it's educational. Every time I have a session, I'm a lot smarter coming out than I was going in.
Yep. Well, we're unique beings, so you're going to learn something new with each unique person.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing, and when in the womb is the baby, the soul, via the soul, knows how much energy it brought into this life, whether it brought a lot, a little, something in between. It will also, they will also explain whether they come and go. A lot of advanced souls many times will page in and page out, and they'll go visit and whatnot, and then go back into the womb type of thing. So that's another point I wanted to bring up, just as a point of interest to anybody who's listening.
Oh, it is interesting. This is, you're going to have your phone ringing off the hook, I can tell you, because this is so exciting. Well, I think that we need to look into moving into this piece of music, because I want to get into the life between lives, and I know we're going to get going, and I'm going to forget to move into the song. And I want people to hear "Give Me Love," and I'm going to read the lyrics before the song this time, and then David will hear that. My husband's name is David, and he's the audio engineer. Excuse me for saying his name. I meant to say Mike. But Mike can tell us anything that he wants to tell us after we hear the song. Give me love. Shine your light. Help me see it'll be all right. Take me by the hand and lead me home. Help me understand I'm not alone. Give me love. Give me peace. Embrace my soul. Help me see what I already know. Take me by the hand and lead me home. Help me understand I'm not alone. Give me love. Give me love. Shine your light. Help me see it. It'll be all right. Take me by the hand and lead me home. Help me understand I'm not alone. Give me love. Now, you're listening to Pamela Tartar with our special guest, Michael Williams, and we're talking about hypnotics and about music and Mike's album. And Mike's album is called Leaving Dystopia, and we're going to listen to Give Me Love.
PureMomentum.net, a gathering of expanding minds. None but ourselves can free our minds. Bob Marley.
Welcome back, everyone. Didn't you enjoy that song? And Mike, please tell us how you started that song, if the lyrics came first, if the music came first, or anything you want to tell us about that song.
Wow, that song was one of the first ones that I wrote, Pamela, for the album. And I just sat down one day with my acoustic guitar, and I just started, strumming out some chords, and all of a sudden the words just came. It was one of those things. I think, not that there's a lot of lyrics there, but they came quickly, and the music came quickly, and it's just about, we need love in this world.
Yes.
And we need to shine our light, and everything's going to be okay, but we have to understand that we have to embrace our spirit, we have to embrace our soul, and we'll make this planet a better place. So that's really what the song is all about. It came quickly, and I put it down real quick. It didn't take me very long to record it, and that's pretty much it.
Well, I am so big on us knowing ourselves, but we also have to touch each other. We absolutely have got to know that we are not on our planet by ourselves. We could be, but we're not. We're here with other people, and we've got to reach out and touch other people. And I think that this song says that to me, because it says, just take my hand and let me know it's going to be all right, and show me the way.
Right.
Sometimes we have to show each other the way.
That's absolutely right.
And that's what I appreciate about your songs and this album, is that it absolutely has to do with what we're living now and what the answer is to make it through all of this. Leaving dystopia. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm changing. I'm not going to play these games, and I'm not going to be a sheep. I love that in Leaving Dystopia. I'm not going to be a sheep just to please you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we need to know, is that we are more than that. We're more than we've been told we are, and love is the most powerful energy in the universe. And I know that, and the reason I can sit here and talk to all of you and talk to Mike is because I had love, and it saved my life, literally. The people at the hospital did not love me, and they were giving me the wrong things. And I literally went away, and love brought me back. And when my brain went away, and they said, "Do you know this man?" pointing at my husband of 14 plus years. And I said, "No, but I know I love him." Now, does that not prove what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't know his name. I didn't know my own name, but I recognized love.
Yeah, no, love is very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. And the problem is, Pamela, the word love is thrown around today. It's just, it's become, just a word.
Yeah, it loses its real meaning because people just toss it around too much.
Yeah, exactly.
If someone just meets you in the grocery store and you say hello and they come up and say, "I just love you," you think, "Well, my God, you just met me
Yeah.
5 minutes ago. I don't think you can love me. You don't know me." But love is powerful, and I appreciate you using those terms in your work.
You mentioned leaving dystopia. Just quickly, you mentioned Leaving Dystopia. When I wrote that song, I had one of my very cynical moments. I was sitting down. I guess I was reading, one of the mainstream media sites.
Probably. I'm getting out of here. Watch me. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt there.
Oh, that's quite all right. I want you to do that. I want people to get a sense of your album, so they'll go out and get it and enjoy it. Now, we need to give that website again, if you would, for the album.
laboroflovemusic.com.
Yes, and you can get that album on Amazon, and it's Leaving Dystopia. Well, we're going to head back to hypnosis, Michael, if that's all right with you.
Yes, let's go there.
Okay, I'm really excited about this Life Between Lives, because I don't think many people know about this. So give us all you've got on that subject, Mike.
Well, Life Between Lives is spiritual regression, and it's a way of experiencing your soul's existence in the afterlife in between incarnations. So it's your existence in the spirit world, and it's a very profound experience, and you're clearly in the realms of expanded consciousness, clearly.
It certainly does tell people that we don't just die and then that's the end of it.
No, that's exactly right. There's an entire existence in the spirit world.
Yes.
And I explain to clients that the spirit world has process and it has structure and has a lot of love. And I explain to my clients that, a soul really has, in my view, well, there's core principles, right? We have the pursuit of truth, integrity, empathy, compassion, knowledge, wisdom, and unconditional love. And but the two primary that I have gleaned from doing the work is to increase our capacity for wisdom and to increase our capacity and to achieve unconditional love. That's the soul's, that's their objective. Right? To get there. Because by mastering those core principles, especially wisdom and love, that's what gets our soul closer to source. And that's really our objective. Our objective is to be back with the Creator, back with God, back with the source.
Absolutely. I go along with you there. And wisdom, what is wisdom? One of my definitions for wisdom is that it is the next step after you've gained knowledge and understanding. Wisdom is knowing what to do with that knowledge and understanding that you hold. And that once you gain wisdom, it's yours forever through every lifetime. And I know that from experience. I've been in situations where I have used wisdom gained from other lifetimes that I have absolutely no experience with in this lifetime, and yet I can talk it. And that's true about Catholicism. I needed to know about it, and I did not have experience in this life. And it all came to me, and I'm telling you, I knew a lot about it, and that was the wisdom that I gained from other lifetimes. And so there's a lot to this. Wisdom is so important, and of course, unconditional love is something that we're all capable of. It's part of us, but our emotional bodies have got to be started by someone who has unconditional love for us, and that's why it's so important as youngsters that we have interactions with our parents, with our mother, and with our dads and our grandparents, because they do love us unconditionally, warts and all. They love us unconditionally, and we're just amazing, and that's what we need to unfold and open up.
No, well said, Pamela. Great.
Well, thank you.
No, that's exactly the way it works, and you're absolutely right.
Well, that's why I do a lot of talking about women needing to be at home, because nobody can love your child like you do. It's just not possible. Now, are you going to talk to us a little bit, and I hope you will, about guidance from your spiritual elders? Yes.
The Life Between Lives sessions, if it's the Newton approach, which is what I'm trained in, it's 4 hours. But I also developed, Pamela, a proprietary approach that I'm working on right now, and I'm putting the final touches on it. And I have been able to achieve the same results as the Newton approach, the 4 hours, in 2 hours.
Awesome. Wow.
And I have been working very diligently on that. And essentially the way that works is I take the clients through the chakras. And from the chakras, starting at the root, out the crown, into the spirit world. I'm oversimplifying it, but it's been very, very effective. And when you get to the spirit world, what'll happen is you'll get to the gateway where you're met by another being. Typically, it's a guide. There'll be some energy clearing and cleansing. The soul goes through that process. Typically, at that point, we're able to get our soul name. We'll visit with our soul group. We'll spend time with our soul mate. And then we will go back with the guide and we'll do a review. And typically, we review the life just lived and the lessons learned from that life. And then it's off to the Council of Elders, which I think is what you were referring to.
Yes.
Yeah. So with the elders, these are very, very wise beings. And sometimes they are called the wise ones or the wise beings. And the council will be, there's a number of elders. It could be, anywhere from 3 to 4 to as many as 7, 8, 9, 10. It just depends. It depends on, who needs to be there for this particular life review that the soul is there to engage in. And it's a very, very powerful session, because whereas with a past life and you meet with your guide, you're essentially reviewing the lessons from that particular life and how you can apply those lessons and to your current life and just enhance the path, the life path that you're on in the life you're living today. But when you get to the Council of Elders, they of course will elaborate and expand on those types of things also. But you're also going to learn about your soul's core characteristics, your overall development and progress as a soul. How are you progressing? Pattern behaviors over multiple lifetimes. There's another misconception out there that you come here, you learn your lessons and do the curriculum this time around, and that's it. You're done.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's a lot of pattern behavior, and it takes many of us many lifetimes to be able to master those lessons. And it's not until you master them
That's right.
that you move on. So now the thing in the spirit world is that the rate and pace in which you go about your learning and your mastering, it's left up to you, although most souls are pretty aggressive and want to learn as quickly as they can. But with the council, they will also talk to you about the dynamics of the soul's current and past lives. And I'm not talking about the immediate past life, but they will essentially help the client understand and stitch together the connection points over multiple past lives and this life. Because, like I was mentioning before, we have this pattern of behavior. So as an example, when I had my last life between lives, it was about a year ago or so. I was in San Francisco when I had the session. And when I was up before my counsel explained to me that one of the things I'm working on and, doing a good job at, but, still have to continue to work on it, is judging, right? And they explained to me that I've had, many lifetimes where I've had to work on this thing called judging. And I'm just using me as an example, so I don't have to pick on any other clients.
That's good. Just lay it all out, Mike.
Yeah. They will talk to you about karma, otherwise known as causality, or cause and effect. Because every cause has an effect. Every effect has a cause. You'll learn about maybe some special assignments or agreements.
Right.
I had my counsel tell me that this go around on the planet today, there are a lot of warrior souls. Yes. And what that means is not souls that are, warriors. These are souls that had warrior lifetimes, many of them. And they said that the warrior souls are very important this go around, along with the teachers and the healers. I should add that. But the warrior souls, considering the time that we're in, the period that we're in right now on Earth, where humanity is at, requires that perseverance, because the warrior souls know how to press on.
Right.
Just keep going, right. Even under duress,
Absolutely.
Just keep going. And so these were the types of things that were explained to me when I was in front of my counsel. It's all love. There's no judging. There's never any judging. It's very important for folks to understand that there is no judging. The compassion, the empathy, and the amount of love is extraordinary. It really, really is extraordinary. It's very different than here.
Oh, yes. There's no way to explain it because it is so different from here.
It's very different. Very, very different.
I know. You never want to leave.
And I've seen some extraordinary things. When I've had my LBL sessions, they've showed me some amazing, amazing things. And when you have a life between lives, a lot of clients will, the feedback will be that, they were places that were just indescribable.
Right.
From the colors, the brilliance of the colors. They'll say, we have blues here on Earth, but not blues like up in the spirit world.
That's right. And we even see colors that we don't have names for here.
Yeah.
So you can't, how do you explain it? You can't. And it's, even though things are very, very different, you feel comfortable. You're never feel like you're in the wrong place or something.
Right.
You feel very comfortable. Yeah. It is absolutely wonderful. And for people that are unfolding to who and what they are, there's nothing that could be better than to get to work with Michael. I wish I lived closer to him. I would work with him myself.
Oh, I appreciate that, Pamela. That's
Oh,
very
well,
nice. That's
it
very
really is a compliment because I am very careful, believe me. But it has to do with the intention of the heart. What is the intention of the facilitator? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? And that turns something that could go one direction into another direction. But if a person really is working out of their true nature, and as a person that's living in balance with their true nature, then that's what you're going to get in direction from that person. And I do feel that from you.
Yeah, I take the work very seriously. I am a very spiritual person, and I believe that I understand at least the core principles that you need to understand to do this work. I would say that if you're not going to invest in those core principles yourself, truth, integrity, empathy, compassion, knowledge, wisdom, and unconditional love, then you probably shouldn't be doing the work. I mean, I know
I
that's
don't even
probably
think they'll be. I don't think they'll even be pulled into you, Mike.
yeah. It's very important. It's really important because the clients are coming to you and they're looking to you to help navigate them, to facilitate this session, and the person that's doing this work really has to know what they're doing because some souls are on autopilot and you get them into the spirit world and I don't have to do too much.
Right.
They put the car in drive and they know exactly where they're going. But but because we are humans and because we're venturing into this this venue called expanded consciousness, many times the expertise and the skill level of the practitioner is very, very important. Very important.
It would be important to me.
Yeah, it's very important. There were many times when I know a lot of other practitioners would have just called it a day and said that it was a block session. But I will continue to work it until we get it to the point where the client has a successful session.
Well, that's great to know. That's great to know. Well, your intentions are correct, and you are working from the heart chakra. I can feel it. And I do all my work since 1990 from the heart chakra. Now, I used to work with from my solar plexus hooked into my heart. And in 1990, I got very clear instructions that I needed to work it from the heart from now on. And that's what I've been doing. And it's completely different because of what I know about the heart. And of course, the heart has brain tissue in it. I don't know whether people know that or not. This is not just me saying it. It was in, I knew it a long time before I got the proof of it, but it was in Omni. Do you remember Omni magazine? It was a scientific magazine.
Yes.
I don't think it's around anymore, but it was amazing.
Yes.
And several things that I knew through my spirit work came out in that magazine many years later, like the bridge between the right and left lobes are different thicknesses in females and males. I knew that, and it came out in Omni. And then they came out and said that scientists had found brain cells in the heart. And then, just recently, I have found a scientist who says that there is retinal tissue in the pineal gland. So, I know you can see out of it. I see out of my third eye. Many people do. And there's actual retinal tissue in there. So for people that need scientific backup for things, it does show up. But for me, it shows up many years later after I've already accepted it and worked with it. But you working from your heart, I can feel that and I appreciate that. And I think that it's very necessary at this time where we are in time and space and in our movement toward what I know as a new way of measuring time and space. That's where we are now. We're ending how we've always measured time and space, and we're moving into the new way. And to know what has happened in the past, what my purpose is now, is just extremely important to move forward in a good way, I think. And that's where your work comes in.
And it's just amazing to me the number of folks, Pamela, that are coming in for these types of sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in North Carolina, so a lot of folks would say to me, "How do you even do what you do down there?" Because it's the Bible Belt.
I know.
And they kind of scratched their heads, and I said, "Well, you'd be surprised. You would be surprised."
Right. Right. Well, people will advance from anywhere. They came in where they came in for a reason, and you're
Right.
where you are for a reason. There are no accidents.
Exactly.
So even though things seem difficult, if you're there and you're offering something that people need, they'll be pulled to you. I absolutely know it. Now, is there anything else that you want to tell us about the results of hypnosis with people? Like, do they change things that they didn't really come in and say, this is what I want to work on? Because you mentioned the fingers that go out, the tentacles that go out in other areas. It must affect all areas because everything is connected, like Grandmother Spider teaches us in Native American spirituality, that one part of the web does not get touched and moves on its own. When it gets touched, the whole web moves.
Right. So I call that locating the primary brick in the wall. So a client will say, as I mentioned earlier, well, I have stress, and I also have some fears, and I feel anxious. Mm-hmm. So that's when I will say to them, well, let's choose and prioritize what is the issue that's most important to you right now, not yesterday.
Can they find that? Can they tell you that?
They can. It's amazing. They'll give me maybe a list of 5 things, and they'll say, well, okay, right now it's this. So I will say, okay, so we're going to work on that first. And, and so by working on that particular issue, when we resolve that conflict, a lot of the other secondary and, tertiary types of issues, which they had on their list, they fade away. Because they were attached to that primary issue. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, that doesn't happen all the time. So I don't want anybody to believe if you solve, one issue, everything else goes away.
No, but everything is connected. That's for sure.
It is connected. And and what it might mean is, the next time they come in, we may have to work on the second issue, but we may not have to do as much work on that second issue because the primary is essentially being worked on. Yeah. And it's been pushed out of the way.
Well, this is very exciting. And Mike, I appreciate you coming in and sharing this because I know that there's some misconceptions out there about what hypnosis is and what it is not. And it's really important to me to get some clarity out there on what things are, because if a person has a wrong idea about something, they might be missing something that would help them unfold to who and what they are in their true nature. And that's what I'm all about. So I really appreciate you coming and sharing with us. And I appreciate you sharing your music with us as well, because creativity is so needed right now. And I tell my husband, David, who is also a musician and an audio engineer, that even if not one person hears your song, the fact that you imagined it and created it and brought it into this dimension, and then you give it out as it goes around the earth, and I just see it going around the earth, our precious planet, it changes the energy. See, we're not taught that as individuals we affect anything, and we affect everything.
Right.
And that is what is so wonderful when I get to interact with someone who works from the heart and is a creator. They know they're a creator and they use their creativity. So I really do appreciate that, Mike. Please give your web addresses again for me.
Okay. My practice, Imagine Hypnotics, can be found at imaginehypnotics.com. And my album, Leaving Dystopia, can be found at laboroflovemusic.com.
Thank you so much. And you can get that album at Amazon. And Michael, we're at the end of our time here in the members section. And I just can't thank you enough. We've had such a good discussion, and I've enjoyed it so much. Is there anything else that you would like to say to our listeners?
No, I think we're good, Pamela. I just want to thank you and David for having me on. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I appreciate you and I appreciate your work and I appreciate you coming on for our Pure Momentum Network members, whom we do appreciate so much. So I'll say bye for now, Mike, and we'll say bye to our members and we'll see you next time. Thank you for being here. This is Pamela Tartar saying be human. That's all I ask is be human. And this is Factor 9. And we've had Michael Williams as our special guest today on Pure Momentum Network. Bye for now.
A heartfelt thank you to all our members for subscribing to this platform. Please enjoy all the host talk shows, extra interviews, and archives in your section just for members. Pure Momentum Network appreciates you and your support.